here from StoryV, and welcome to the first ever Nomad Masterclass, where I'll be interviewing some amazing digital nomads once a week to share what they do to make money online while they travel and help you to start living your dream lifestyle. So today I am joined by Kate, and Kate is from the Remote Nomad, and she also gives a lot of tips and inspiration to help you to become a digital nomad. So welcome, Kate. It's really good to have you, and I'm excited to talk to you all about this.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Let's just start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Kate, and I am from Canada, near Toronto. And what I do is I do online marketing. I work remotely for a remote company, and then I have my blog and this program that I'm launching that essentially shows people how to live this lifestyle from earning an income remotely and online to navigating the logistics of living this nomadic lifestyle.
Cool, nice. When I first got in contact with Kate on a Facebook group.
Yeah.
I was really inspired by what she was doing. I asked her what she does as a digital nomad, and she mentioned this retreat, and I was really inspired by it because I always thought about how cool it would be to do something like that. And when I found out that she was doing it, I really wanted to talk more about this. So yes, very interesting. So Kate, when and how did you get started as a digital nomad, and what inspired you to do it?
Yeah, so in Canada, it's pretty common to have very limited vacation time. It's usually around 10 days when you're starting. And I had gone to university. I started my corporate job. I worked in advertising. I'd done that for about 3 years. And then I knew, as most people probably are feeling, you sort of feel like, I can't keep doing this. Something needs to change. Is this my whole life? I was really passionate about traveling, and I just found that my career was really restricting that. I really liked my career, but it always seemed like I had to pick traveling or work, and there was never really a combination. So I went through this process of thinking, okay, what's my ideal job, and listing down the criteria of what I want to look for in a job. And I was doing my research, and I was exploring different avenues, and it was among that I came across this article on Facebook about Remote Year. And so Remote Year is a program that takes a group of people to essentially work remotely while traveling the world. So you can keep your professional career, you're earning an income, but you're also traveling. So it seemed like the best of both worlds finally together. So I did my year with Remote Year, and learned, the ins and outs of this lifestyle, and the uniqueness of it, like making sure you have good internet, because it's definitely different around the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's sort of, that's sort of how I got started.
And when you were in the remote gap year, did you start doing something else, or were you still working in the advertising, or what did you work with people to start something?
Yeah, so the evolution of that was sort of, I worked at an advertising agency that as a project manager, and it was very traditional. It was TV, print, billboards.
Yeah.
And then I knew that everything was going online. So I had transitioned over to a shop that did web development and design, and I was a project manager there. I did have a background in marketing when I took business at school. So when I became a digital nomad, I joined Remote Year, didn't have a remote job. And it was actually at one of the co-working spaces. I was, we're just connecting with people. I was explaining what I do. I was looking to make the transition to marketing, online marketing, instead of project management. And, when you're in that environment surrounded by people working remotely, it's a lot easier to find a remote opportunity.
Yeah.
So I made a contact there who knew someone that was hiring remotely, and then sort of just worked out from there.
Cool. So you are working as a remote employee for a company?
Yeah. It's technically freelance, but I'm mostly working with just them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are they based?
So the company is based in Prague, and we have employees in Prague, Canada, England, our clients in Australia. We have some clients in the States. So it's really all over the world.
Nice. What knowledge and skills did you start off with, and what qualifications or experience would someone need to start doing what you do right now? Do you need training or qualifications?
For what I'm doing in online marketing, I think my background definitely helped, the project management, going to school for business, but that is by no means what someone needs to do.
Yeah.
I think there's so much information online, so many courses you can take online that are much more cost effective, and it's going to teach you the exact same thing you need to know. I've learned a lot of my stuff on HubSpot, and they do free certifications and they teach you a lot about online marketing. So there are definitely ways. I mean, I had a natural career progression into something that, online marketing is pretty popular online. So I think, looking at what's popular online in terms of earning an income and what your opportunities are, and then transitioning your skills. There's a lot of transferable skills that most people have that you can move over to a new role. So you don't necessarily have to make a huge career change. You can just make a transition.
Yeah. And you mentioned HubSpot.
But I also think that,
sorry, it's okay.
I also think that just, everything is based online. So the more that you're kind of dabbling around online, the better. Whether it's, just playing around and trying to get your own website up and creating an email list, that sort of thing. Like, my blog has been a really great way for me to learn personally, because I get to test out new things, and just sort of being in that online atmosphere of the Facebook groups with digital nomads, and there's a lot going on Reddit. So just being familiar with those sort of tools, like Slack's very common for communicating, trying to get yourself more comfortable with those tools, those online tools that you'll probably use.
And you mentioned HubSpot, did you say?
Yeah.
And on HubSpot, did you say they have a number of free training programs, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is HubSpot? Would you be able to?
So HubSpot's this great tool and platform for doing online marketing. So online marketing consists of, sending automated emails, getting emails, creating online offers, creating landing pages, managing your website. So HubSpot's this tool that sort of does all of that. And they obviously want people to use their tool to the best of their ability, and to make the most of it. So they offer this free training. So you can get certified in, email marketing, just online marketing, just how this inbound process works. So it's really about attracting people instead of trying to sell to them, and bringing them in. It offers a variety of certifications that you can get for free.
That sounds really good. I'll leave a link to that below. Yeah. So it's HubSpot.com? Yeah, I'll leave a link to that below, because that sounds like it would be a really valuable resource for people just starting out as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially being free as well, because a lot of these courses require significant investment when you're becoming more advanced. And so I think for them to be offering these free programs, free courses, is really a good opportunity for people to start out. So where exactly does your income come from? How did you go from zero to now earning a location independent income that's able to support you traveling or working from home?
I mean, I was earning my salary when I was working in an office. And then when I transitioned to working for this new company, it's more on a freelance basis. So I just essentially, you're transferring your salary to an hourly rate. And then there's also other considerations you need to think of when you're freelancing, because you're responsible for your own equipment and stuff like that, that usually the employer would cover those costs, but now you're going to cover those. So just incorporating that into your rate. I mean, a very common way for people to earn an income is to freelance. And you have complete control of how much you're earning when you're doing freelance. I think there's maybe this misconception that people are taking pay cuts in order to do this, but I've had friends that have got promotions and raises, and when employers see how well it works for them, once they dive into it, they're more receptive of this lifestyle.
And also, I think once you start gaining your client base and you get recommended to other people, you can start increasing your fee, your price as well, because the work that you're doing is of high quality. And I think don't undersell yourself. Like, don't if your work is good, charge for it, because
absolutely. And I think that's a big and very important thing. Just because you're working online does not mean you're delivering any sort of lower quality or different quality of work. You're delivering the exact same as you did before. If your rate or value was something before, there's no means that should be lowered just because you're working remotely.
I mean, if you think about it, if you're working in a job, a traditional job, and you're making an hourly rate, like, what if that's your what you're getting from an employer as an hourly rate for what you do, don't go below that for your freelance work. If that's what you're worth, that's what you're worth. So and people will pay it if they know that you will do a good job and you will actually help to grow their business and be of value to them. They will pay it.
Yeah. And I think people need to keep in mind that, like, when you are offering such great low prices, usually people associate those low prices with the quality you're going to deliver. So
exactly. How long did it take to start earning a comfortable enough income to be able to just be location independent? I know you started off in the remote gap year, but was it like instantaneous? How was it?
No, it's a lot of work. And that's the thing. It's not easy, and it can be easy to give up. For some people, it's going to happen really fast, and for some, it won't. I had been applying for remote jobs for 3 months, a good 3 months, because I was applying for a job to work for someone else, when in reality, it was probably a better avenue to start freelancing. In my head, I thought I have to start a business or work for someone, but I didn't consider the fact that freelancing is a good in between. And it's, it's going to take some networking and effort. And even if you're this awesome person, you sort of need to build your online presence and build your clientele. So, projects might come in slow at first, but you just have to be persistent. At the end of the day, someone's going to hire you and you're going to be able to work remotely. It's just, toughing through that. And like, some people it's fast, some people it's a lot longer. But it's just about being persistent and keep taking action steps towards making it happen.
And when you were in the process of applying for these jobs, was that when you got started with the Remote Nomad, when you started your own blog and retreat, or did that come later?
So when I started this journey on remote year, I knew I wanted to blog about it. I had no idea what my niche was. I didn't know anything about blogging at all. I just started writing and I just started doing it. And it was sort of an evolution. Like, I learned I'm not more of a very descriptive storytelling writer. I'm very to the facts. Here's how you do something. I guess that's sort of my business background coming in. And it was with the blog that I realized I started to just speak about my experience of living this lifestyle. And it was within my blog I realized the various pain points that people have. And one is how you actually get started and earn an income, and how you take that first step. Like, what country do you go to? How do you know you're going to have good internet? So I realized those were the two big pain points. And then so from the blog, so it sort of went from remote year, it evolved into creating this blog, which then evolved into this retreat as a way to, fill a need that I was seeing. People would always ask me questions and send me emails, and I felt like, there's so much to explain to them that I can't just put in an email, and I want to make sure they're getting value and quality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get emails and I end up writing a big book back to them, and I'm thinking, I need to put this somewhere. Because it takes me so long. I really do want to give them the information, and it takes me so long to get these big responses. And because there is a lot to it. There is a lot to it.
Exact same. I would find myself spending like an hour just on one email, and then I would say the same thing to people. And I'm like, okay, if I can just take all this information and put it in one spot that everyone can go, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. So do you work on your job in marketing and the retreat at the same time? Are you working on these like simultaneously? What is your schedule?
Yeah. So I'm pretty much doing, half my time's focused on my work and doing online marketing, and the other half is focused on developing the retreat and the program. So yeah, it's about, spending it's about half and half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you dedicate any time to like blog posting, emailing, things like this for the Remote Nomad?
Yeah. I feel it's hard with the blog. There's always so much that I want to put out there. And I always feel like I'm just so shot for time. There's always so much going on. And it's hard to put out there, but I do know that, in creating the course material for the retreat and putting that together, it's going to provide, I guess, more value, but I do still try to blog more frequently, especially not being on the remote year program anymore. That was very, very fast paced. So this is giving me an opportunity to focus more on the blog. So yeah, I'm trying to, get a post out every week or so.
Okay. And how was your experience with this group of people traveling to all sorts of places in the world?
Yeah, it's when people ask that, it's the hardest thing to put into words.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a life-changing experience for me. I never knew this lifestyle even existed, and I learned so much about it. And it's the most unique situation you can be in, traveling with 75 essentially strangers for a year.
Yeah.
It just really, it makes you grow as a person. Like I was in like a really great headspace and everything leaving, and it really kind of, it makes you really self-reflect. You become very self-aware, just given all these situations and always having to adapt. I really didn't get a chance to really process it all until I came home, because it's just like boom, boom, like you're working full time, then you're just hopping to the next country. It's a lot to take in, but it was definitely, an experience of a lifetime.
I think these remote gap year kind of things, there's a few different programs now. I think they're in a really amazing way to get support. So if you're just starting out, or you've got an idea and you don't know how to get it started, having 75 people surrounding you who are all in like either digital marketing or freelancing or all these kinds of online jobs is just so amazing it's so amazing to have that kind of support. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, there's two big things. I think the biggest thing is that community was the most important part of the program, and any of these programs you go on, and living this lifestyle, finding your sense of community is really important, to have people that get you, because you're essentially a big group of black sheep that really don't fit in at home, and everyone gets each other when you're together. So whether it's going to, co-working spaces, going on these, there's a lot of programs that offer retreats for digital nomads, these digital nomad programs. There's a lot of ways to connect with the digital nomad community, even online on Facebook, how we connected. So there's a lot of ways. And I think that that's a really critical and important part. I never have said the word community so much since becoming a digital nomad, but it's really essential to just like the mentality of trying to navigate this lifestyle and being in a new place, always adapting, new country.
Definitely, because I think a lot of people, they start out on this journey of becoming a digital nomad and they don't know where to find their community, and it feels lonely, and some people end up just giving it up and going home to have that sense of community again. But there are a lot of communities out there. Even when you go to specific countries, there are, like in cities, there are groups of people who all come together that live this kind of lifestyle, so you can always find your community.
Yeah, you're never alone. I remember when I was in Bali, my mom was all nervous because I was alone in Bali, and I was like, no, I'm not alone. Like
Definitely not.
You have your nomad community like everywhere. It's very easy to not feel alone when you know they're everywhere.
And Bali has a huge digital nomad scene.
Yeah.
And lots of co-working spaces and things like that, right?
Amazing. Yeah.
And speaking of like traveling and visiting all these countries, where has your digital nomad journey taken you so far?
Yeah. Do you want like a general overview?
Yeah.
Okay. So we did I've done Countries in Europe, Asia, South America, places like Turkey, Croatia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, Buenos Aires in Argentina, Peru, Chile. Yeah, I've done, I think, 13 now so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And where did you find to be the most challenging as a digital nomad?
I mean, Japan was challenging for me in a couple ways. First of all, it was really expensive, which was really challenging to really take a full experience there, because it was just, I really had to watch my money when I was in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I got really sick in Japan. When you're sick and living this lifestyle, it sucks. It's just not an enjoyable thing. So that was a challenge. And the other challenge to Japan was, for me, it is a very different culture from the other places. Most places are easy transition, in Europe or whatnot. I mean, I would say probably Vietnam and Japan had the most, like, I am in a different country. Like, there are not a lot of places, like when I'm in South America, you can kind of understand, the language even, like, it's easy to understand if something's similar to like Spanish or French, I sort of get it. But when you're in, like, when it's Vietnamese or Japanese, it's just totally like no idea. So it's, yeah. So like in Japan, I would go to the grocery store. I couldn't read any labels. The food was completely different at the grocery store. So I didn't know what it was, how I could prepare it. It was a lot more of a barrier for me. And they're very like by the book, to the rules. Like, if the light says don't cross the street, if there's no one around, you don't cross the street. Like, it's just very strict. So yeah, that was probably the most challenging for me. It was just very different. And then, just with being sick and a lot of factors playing into it.
But did you find that this made you more like resistant as a traveler? Like,
Yeah, so much. To be that sick, that was probably the sickest I've ever been in my life, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to come from that and know that, like, okay, I survived, like, I can take care of myself, and like to know that you can overcome so many things, and it's all your decision. Like, you're making the calls, you decide everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you very confident in your decision making and your ability to know, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. How am I going to navigate this situation? You just gain so much confidence in yourself and your ability to, take things on.
For sure. I think like problem solving skills, I think traveling really helps you to build your problem solving skills.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting. When I started, I heard all these things like, if you're a nomad, your skills of being adaptable and solving problems are going to be good. And I was like, okay, whatever. I just want to live this lifestyle. I didn't know if I even believed it, even though I said it. And now that I've lived it, it is so extremely on point of like 100% problem solving, adapting. Like, it's just insane, the skills you develop.
So the idea of working and traveling at the same time is like amazing to most people. It sounds amazing. But how do you stay productive while you travel, while you're trying to work, while you're trying to build an income, and you're trying to travel? What kind of processes do you do to stay focused, stay productive?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it can be really hard, 100%. I think you need to be clear on what your goals are. I mean, I think by doing slow travel, it's less overwhelming, because then that way, you have the time to do your work. And then when you're done work, you can go do whatever it is you want to do in the country. And once you've had opportunities to do all those things, then you can move on to the next one. I did a month at a time, and that was just way too fast. I would suggest at least 3 months for someone. That way you don't feel rushed in the sense of like, I got to do work, but I only have a few more weeks to see this entire country. And I think you need to set expectations for yourself. I knew going into this, I said, okay, I'm going to be in all these amazing countries, and I'm going to be very tempted to go everywhere else and do all these side trips. I set the expectation for myself. This is a great experience. I'm going to really embrace the city I'm in and make the most of that, focus on my work. I mean, when you are meeting travelers and they all want to go out and have fun, that can be very tempting. But at the end of the day, they're there for 2 weeks and they're back home for a year. You're doing this forever. And when
It's a
you recognize,
lifestyle.
yeah, it really is a lifestyle. It's not a vacation. And yeah, I think when you recognize like I have the opportunity to continue staying in this country for as long as I want, and the thing that's going to fuel that is by working, you're going to prioritize your work. At the end of the day, that's what's giving you this opportunity of living this lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. When you're running a business or developing your career online, it's always important to invest back into what you're doing. So what kinds of things do you invest in?
There's a lot. I mean, I've always really believed in investing in yourself, and I feel like a business is almost a piece of yourself. So, you know, I'm doing my marketing. I have the business. I invest in a few ways. So I have a coach right now, a life coach that I work with, and she also helps in terms of not just life, but in a business perspective as well. So I have her coaching, online courses. I love learning online. You know, I've just purchased maybe like a month or so ago, you know, an online course that's more talking about, you know, it's marketing, but like funnels and emails and funnels and stuff like that, sales funnels. And then there's like the actual investment into the company and to creating it. You know, you're paying for your website. You know, there's deposits you have to put down in terms of getting things started. There's a lot of online tools that I use to run the business. So, you know, investing in those. But yeah, I mean, I feel like literally all my money is just investments into different aspects of my life.
For sure, yeah. And that's what helps you to grow. That's what helps your business to grow. It's
Absolutely.
essential. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just start a thing and just expect all the money to come. Like you need to be putting it back in
Yeah.
constantly.
And
Fuel.
I think that's what people don't understand is they see all these people making money online or starting businesses, but there is like a good year or two of just like struggle that people don't see. And then there's that breaking point, and that's what people see. And they're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But you need to be aware that it is like, it does take time. Things don't happen overnight. You're not going to make money online overnight. You're going to have to build and work towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want it enough, you'll be patient enough to, you know, go through all that.
And like you said, like obviously a lot of people they don't have the savings just to be able to start working on their own business for 2 years and not see any results. But if you start getting into something like freelancing at the same time, you can start bringing some of that income in and supporting yourself while working on other projects on the side to eventually build your business, build your career online.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started this lifestyle, I like didn't have savings to pull from. Like you can really make it work based on what you're earning. You can save a lot of money by living in different countries. So it really is cost effective to sort of be somewhere else. But yeah, it takes time to build up.
Let's talk about your retreat. So what is the name of your retreat?
It's called Wi-Fi Nomads.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you're kind of searching for Wi-Fi and you're flying around all over. So it'll be hard to remember.
Cool idea. And so it's based in Bali, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about how it goes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it takes place in Bali. I mean, of all the places I've traveled to, it's been over 23. Bali's my favorite. Bali's a really great place to, I guess, almost like connect with yourself in a way and be in this, it's just such a calming environment. You have this, as soon as you get off the airplane, you can feel it. It's the perfect place to make a life transition. So that's why it's taking place in Bali. Another reason that we're taking people to a place like that is because we want people to actually immerse themselves in this lifestyle. You can take a lot of online courses and you can learn as much as you want, but until you take that step, it's that feeling of like, is this for me or is it not? So by being in Bali and working out of co-working spaces and connecting with real digital nomads, you know, getting around on a scooter, you're really literally going to be living this lifestyle. It's like a little taste of 2 weeks of what it's like.
Yeah.
So you can really feel like if it's something for you or not. I think it also builds your confidence because when you're in a country living this lifestyle, you're going to be a lot more confident when you take off for your first country. And on the retreat, we're going to be planning your first location. You know, when are you going to be earning your income by? How are you going to be going about that? Where's your first location? What do you need to consider about your first location? When, you know, you're going to have the confidence when you land in that first location that you can do this. The main part and aspects of the retreat there's two aspects. One is how to earn an income remotely. So those are the master classes, and it's going to focus on, convincing your employer to let you work remotely. And the big thing here is that everything's action oriented. It's going to have worksheets. We're not just going to tell you like, oh, you can start freelancing. Like that doesn't help you. You need to know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, create your time, like your action plan, and implement it. Yeah. So you'll have time to implement your action plan, get started. So it's going to be from, preparing your resume and preparing for remote jobs. What are remote jobs looking for? What tools and technology do you need to use? How to convince your employer, preparing a proposal, what items you need to include in that proposal in order to convince your employer to let you work remotely, how to get started in freelancing. It's going to cover those. It's going to talk about, we have another one on making career transitions, similar to what I did, from project management to online marketing. We're going to have one that is on creating online courses, doing drop shipping, sort of selling on Amazon type of thing, blogging and vlogging. So some of these avenues you can earn an income much more quickly, and some take time to build up. Yeah. So we're going to dive into all of them. They're really common ways for digital nomads to earn an income. And then in addition, we look at the lifestyle aspects. So there's a lot of considerations in terms of, okay, where's your mail get directed to? Getting the deals on flights, where to look for good internet, and how you know that you're going to get good internet, the spots you need to consider, what countries to go to. There's a lot of digital nomad hotspots. So if you want to connect with nomads, going to those places. There's things like corruption and health and safety, budgeting. There's just so many aspects in terms of living this lifestyle, connecting with your community, like we talked about. And there's this huge mentality aspect as well that we'll cover, because it is a lifestyle change. And with that lifestyle change, it's like an adjustment. And so it's navigating those ups and downs and what to expect and how you can manage those things when you take off on this lifestyle.
Yeah, especially when you're starting off, you're by yourself most of the time, unless you're traveling as a family or something like that, but you're usually alone. So it's like gaining that mentality to be able to open yourself up and start going in search of these communities and meeting people. And also I think a lot of people, before becoming a digital nomad or in the process of becoming a digital nomad, they are confused about, for example, tax. Tax is very confusing. Visas.
Talk about that too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Those things are so important.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of because this digital nomad thing is so new, it seems that a lot of countries haven't really caught up with this whole movement yet. And so visas and tax especially are in between. Nobody actually knows really what they need to be doing. There are processes, but sometimes it can be confusing because people are still confused themselves about what digital nomadism is. And
there's all these pain points and things you learn doing it yourself that you learn along the way. So it's really to save that time and headache of figuring those things out and being really clear on what it is that you need to know and what it is you need to do.
And when is your next retreat?
Yeah, so the next one is in September. It's the last 2 weeks in September.
Yeah, cool.
And that's 2017, yeah.
And do you plan to do this once a year kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, just like the blog sort of evolved into this. And as I'm focusing on this, it's evolving as I go and opportunities are presenting themselves. So, I mean, it's going to be organic. I do hope to at least do one once a year. It's 20, 25 people, a very intimate personal experience, really hands-on. But I mean, the future of it is, I have some ideas of where it can go and how I can take this. But I'm also open to the fact that as I get into it, it's going to evolve and sort of turn into, I guess the next project. Mm-hmm. I'll probably be flying out to Bali this winter just to finalize that. I really want to 100% like see the location before I commit to it, because I need to make sure that it's like up to standard and up to, you know, my expectations and meets all my criteria.
Especially internet is so important for us, and sometimes
Yeah.
you get to places and the internet doesn't work in the whole hotel.
Yeah.
It makes things so difficult.
Yeah. And I think also like you can see a photo online, and when you get there, things are just so different. Like, do they have hot water? Like you need to, it could be look beautiful, but there could not be hot water there. So like I need to go and I really want to make sure that, you know, the internet is at the quality that I expect, that, that, pictures are quite different. So I want to make sure that it lives up to what I'm expecting.
And especially because this is a lifestyle transition,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to be, we're not backpackers.
No.
We want to be still, you know, we still want to have those daily comforts that we normally live with, except the only difference about this whole digital nomad thing is the fact that we can earn an income anywhere. So it's important to maintain those comforts and the Wi-Fi, the hot water, the kitchen, because otherwise if you don't have those things your life starts to change, and it can be like, what's the word?
Well, it can have a negative impact, I think. Like if you're living, like there were times where I didn't have a kitchen, and that is, when you're going an extended period of time without a kitchen, that's just not feasible long term, because it is a lifestyle.
Because you're going out to eat every day, you're spending your money on food in restaurants, more money. You can't eat as healthy, so then your work lags because you're not as focused. So you do need to have those things that you're used to. But
the way I explain it to people is that there's two things I explain to people at home. And as I say, you wouldn't be living out of a hostel at home and then going to work every day. You just wouldn't. You would get such a crappy sleep. And it is a lifestyle. It's not a vacation. So if you wouldn't be sleeping at a hostel at home, you're not going to be sleeping in a hostel living this lifestyle. And just like even sometimes I explain, people expect you to be, I'll talk to family and friends, and on the weekend, it's like, okay, I didn't do anything. And they're like, well, you're in this amazing country. And you're like, well, I need downtime. Like, it's like you going downtown and exploring the city every day after work. Like, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And then you wake up the next day, you're tired, you can't work as well because, so you do just need to try to maintain some kind of a little bit of routine so that you can stay focused and stay productive and awake. So my final question, do you have any tips or strategies for people who are just wanting to start out on this digital nomad lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, best thing you can do is finding the remote job first. That's sort of twofold, because when you're in the environment surrounded by digital nomads and you just take that leap, that presents networking opportunities and more opportunity to find remote work. But try to get like maybe a little bit of a savings. By no means do you have to. I didn't have savings, but it helps to give you that bit of cushion and breathing room, especially if you're trying to just bring on new clients. Just gives you that security. So, just saving up a little bit, even just like a couple thousand is good. 2,000. It doesn't have to be crazy. So save up like $2,000. I think that, start trying to think about and taking those action steps to how you're going to transition to a remote job. If you want to start freelancing, then, start getting your website up, start trying to take on freelance clients after work, after your corporate job, and build up that portfolio. I think that people really need to be persistent. I never thought I'd be living this lifestyle in my wildest dreams. And if I can do it, I know that anyone can. Set a timeline, create your action steps. If you just sort of like, if it's just this vague goal you're working towards, you're not going to really go achieve it. I think by listing out, okay, what remote job do I want? Here's my steps, how I'm going to get that. Okay, what's my backup plan and my steps to do that? What dates is this going to be achieved by? And following that timeline and making sure you're taking those action steps. Action is probably the biggest and most powerful thing. Don't overthink it. There is a lot to learn, yes, but if you're taking action, that's the best thing you can do.
Definitely having that goal, that set goal, and working towards it, because I think this is a mistake that a lot of us make, is not having that really strong goal and kind of just like working towards something, but not really knowing where we're going. And, so it's really important to have that strong desire, that strong goal, and taking those actionable steps, like you said. And like you said as well, it doesn't have to be perfect what you're doing. Just get it done. Get it done. And once you've done it, you'll find it much easier to do it again and again and improve from there. So.
If I started my blog when I was ready, I would be starting it maybe this month. So like, you just have to just put it out there and sort of lose a bit of that perfectionism.
It's hard to do that, especially when you're a perfectionist, but it's necessary, because otherwise you'll just be focusing on the small things and not actually focusing on the big picture of getting an income into your bank account. So
exactly.
Anyway, okay, so thank you so much for sharing all of your tips and strategies. It's been really helpful and really inspiring at the same time. It's always nice to hear other people's stories, because everyone has a different background. Everyone does different things to achieve this lifestyle. And it's really interesting to find out what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'll link your retreat below. It's called Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Nomads. Wi-Fi Nomads. So I'll link to that below so you can check it out and get some more information if you're interested in joining in September. Is it September next year?
September 2017.
Yeah. Cool. So and also don't forget to if I'll link below, there is a link for our ebook as well. So don't forget to download our free ebook, and also I'll leave a link to Kate's blog as well. She's got a lot of free resources on there for you too, different checklists and things like that, which will be really helpful. So thank you again for joining us.
Great.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll chat again in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you.
No worries. Ciao.